Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs. Welcome to my live quilting chat, Tipsy Tuesday. Hi everybody, happy Tuesday to you, and thank you for being with me here for my 48th Tipsy Tuesday episode. Now make sure to tell us where you are tuning in from in the comments. It's always fun to see where everybody's from. Now on today's show, I want to focus on finishing our Elvira quilts. We have had hundreds upon hundreds of quilts made, and so if quilt needs to get quilted to become a quilt. Right, so I'm going to show you some photos of Elvira's that for those of you that have finished quilting your quilts and posted them. I pulled some photos of quilted Elvira's just to give you some ideas. And then we also will have a special guest on tonight, Miss Debbie Brown, my expert in quilting that I always get ideas and, educated on the quilting. She is my expert, and so she's my go-to on that. And so she's going to come and help answer some of those questions you might have on quilting. And she has a special class actually set up for us, which we're going to talk about later. Now, I am of course here to answer all your questions live, no matter what the topic is. So please just put them in the comments and I will try and get to them throughout our show. And we love it when we get those thumbs up and hearts. I've been seeing them come in as we were getting ready to come live. And so please keep them going because that helps spread the word of our videos. So we appreciate that. And of course, hit that share button, and we want to share that quilting love all around. Now we have a lot of people tuning in. I actually saw a lot before I was actually live. I love to read and see everybody coming in. So we have Arizona, Mississippi, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Georgia, Michigan, Massachusetts, California, Indiana, North Dakota, Oregon, Pennsylvania. We have a few places in Canada. I saw Poland. That's late, but that's great. Thank you for being here. It's so great to have everybody here, and we just love this. So everybody's safe in their houses, right? So I'm here to entertain, hopefully. So we always have a giveaway in every show, and we have two going on this show, so make sure to stay with us. One person will be chosen from our live comments. And then we also have a giveaway question at the end. So we had a giveaway last week, a giveaway question. I asked you this question: how many quilts are on your couch right now? And my couch had 2 quilts. That couch, the other couch in the basement, had multiples. So our winner from that giveaway is actually Sharon Kelly. And her answer was only 1, but she has 3 couches, so each has their own quilt. So congratulations, you have won a $25 gift card to use in the GE Quilt Designs store. We will contact you to get you that gift card, and you can use that electronically, easy peasy. Now, first off, I just wanted to chat a little bit, very, very little, about mask making. I am sure that most of you have been making masks now that it is suggested for everybody to wear that here in the States every time you go outside or in, go shopping or anything in public. Now, lots and lots and lots of tutorials out there, lots of tips, and lots of groups actually specializing in mask making. So in the group, I'm going to talk a little bit about my group. So in my group, I'm happy to have you share what you made in my group. Please go for it. But let's keep all the tutorials and the videos elsewhere because we don't want to focus on that in our group. Feel free to share what you have made. That's always great, and answer people's questions. I love that. And, post wherever you got the info so people can go there and get it. But please, one thing that I always ask for, please be kind. Now, there are so many opinions out there and different pattern styles, materials being used. And so unless you are making masks for a healthcare facility that needs, of course, a certain type of mask and certain materials used and certain specifications, I feel like anything goes. These masks are not really going to protect us from the virus, but it really helps protect everybody else from whatever we're carrying. So if you are just making masks for your family and friends, I think that is fabulous. I actually did make some myself. And don't worry too much about the specifics. Just do it. And you know, enjoy the process. And then let's everybody be supportive and encouraging. So I did make some masks for my family. Very simple, because I am not that putsy any kind of maker. I like to make quilts. So these are very, very simple. And if you want to ask me anything about it, please do. But I think there's so many specialists out there and so many groups. So if you want to make something more professional looking or something to give to a healthcare facility, so maybe look out for that. Is that a deal for everybody? Good. Let's move on then. So there are so many funny memes out there. Of course, we're all kind of browsing social media, looking for funny things to, you know, videos and things to look at. And one of the things that popped up for us today was how to find your quarantine theme song. And so what you do is look up the song that was #1 on the hits list on your 12th birthday. And so we, of course, all went ahead and did that. And so mine was quite interesting and actually very, very appropriate for a quarantine. So it was Hall & Oates, Out of Touch. And so, of course, if you know this song, the lyrics go, I'm out of touch, I'm out of time, but I'm out of my head when you're not around. So let's just pretend we're all around each other and I'm here, but I just thought that was pretty funny. So go ahead and check yours. 12 years old. What was the #1 song? I'd love to find out. I think that was really funny. So no, you may have heard possibly last week, or if you are in Gudrun's Quilt Crew and saw Facebook Friday, that I just kicked up a sew along project called a Stripalong, something I do every year. And I talked about it last week during Tipsy Tuesday, and then we kicked it off last Friday where I showed you all the cutting for the blocks and kind of the assembly, starting assembly for the blocks as well. So I have, this is the group. Let's put up the group so everybody knows where that is. If you're not a part of Gudrun's Quilt Crew on Facebook, make sure you join in on that. And if this is all new to you, don't worry, you can still join in. Plenty of time to sew because we do this one just at your own pace. It's not like Elvira where we're all working on the same thing on one day. But this kind of takes place over a week. So I did the instructions for the blocks, and then they have a whole week to finish their blocks. Or, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you finish or not. Then next Friday, I'm going to show all the cutting for the sashing units and how the rows get put together. And then a week from that, we will finish it off with a finished top. And so if you want to find more out about all of that, go to my website and hit that blog button. The blog is always the place to get all the information. If I'm throwing an event, if you need links to things or extra paperwork and stuff, which I always give out for my sew-alongs, I give you extra material that you can look at. So for example, little cutting guide, different layouts for quilts and stuff like that. Go to my blog, everything will be there in one place, links to all the videos. And so those videos are also going to be posted on YouTube, so you can watch them all later. And so if you want to get caught up, you can still watch last week's episode. And it's really great. So I just wanted to really quickly give you a sneak peek because I did get my blocks done and they're up on my design wall. So I just thought I'd show you. I am really, really loving how this is turning out. And you can see I kind of was testing the sashing unit if I'm going to do a space layout or just the original layout. So I did a simplified version, and so I think this is turning out really great. And that black background is just perfect for these colors, just going to sparkle. I think this is going to be, this is actually Terry Atkinson's colors. So she might have to, I have to show this to her if she's not already watching. Terry, I was thinking of you when I finally saw how those colors were all coming together. Really reminded me of you, which is a great thing. A great thing. So that is it. So just like I said, if you want to join in, hop on over to the blog and you get all of the information there. So let's move on to the Elviras. So my two Elviras that I've done, I got the backings together, so they're headed to a long arm quilter. But what if you don't have a long arm quilter? Well, there's some ideas that I'm going to throw at you. I'm going to show you some things. I have quilted just smaller things, but when it comes to big quilts, I just don't have the time, and I send them out to be quilted. But I I gathered a slideshow of quilted Elviras that I just found on the Facebook group. So this is, of course, not all of the Elviras that have been posted. I just kind of sifted through really quickly, and I'm sorry if I missed some great ones. I'm sure I did, but I did a little slideshow just to get some ideas. Some of them are quilted on a long arm, and many of them are quilted on a domestic. So let's check out the video. Aren't those amazing? I applaud you all. Great work. And those of you that tackled quilting those gigantic quilts, congrats. So much fun, and so much fun to see all the different versions. Now caught a comment. Somebody said, I love the quilting on the Elvira behind me. Well, this is not Elvira. This is actually Ava. So this is a cool quilting on it. Actually, it would work really well for Elvira. But this is my my Ava quilt that I did for our last sew along that we just did in February. Was it February? Yeah, January and February. So this one turned out really great. I did the vertical layout, which was an optional layout that I added for that sew along, and so I just have to pop the binding on. But I thought I would show you. I used one of our bundles from the store, the Stargazer bundle for it, and then this really nice dark navy that we actually have in stock as well in the 1 yard cuts. So thank you. Now, do you have any questions for me right off the bat for from the videos? I see a lot of great songs being posted, and it's so funny as I'm reading through these. So many would be perfect for our playlist, for our quarantine playlist. So I might have to go through these and add them to our Elvira playlist. All right, so Carol Pope asks, what do you think is a good batting for these quilts? Now, batting is such a personal preference, and I will just say what I use. For many, many different reasons, I choose to use a light poly batting. First off, I really like how it quilts, and of course, there's really great quality polys out there. Back in the day, we only had one or two kinds, and it's not like that anymore. And so I like it because it really shows off the quilting. The quilts are really nice and light, and since most of my quilts I have to travel with them, so they are folded in suitcases all the time. So the poly does not hold on to the creases as much because it doesn't have memory like cotton batting does. So I like that because they don't have the really big creases after being folded all the time. They are also a lot lighter, so you bring 3 poly quilts versus a cotton blend quilt into my suitcase, because the airlines don't allow more than 50 pounds. So that's what I use. I usually use a poly. I think it really kind of lays really nicely and hangs nicely as well. And when you have big quilts, you're not dealing with the really heaviness of that cotton blend. But cotton, of course, has its qualities as well. So depending on if you want it to be really warm, I would actually recommend trying wool batting. Those are phenomenal out there. A little bit more expensive, but it's such a personal choice. So that's kind of my thought on that. All right. So love the way they are quilted. Where did the design for the toilet paper rolls come from? Very appropriate. I am not sure. There's a post in the crew, so go back and maybe ask that question, and they will be happy to answer you. That's a great one. Okay, so tackling, if you wanted to try and tackle your own quilt. So all I have done with quilting is quilting my small pieces. So I like to do my table runners, my tabletops, anything that's kind of 40 inches and under. Sometimes some crib quilts if I just need to get them done. Of course, I've done bigger quilts when we just need to get them done. For example, usually that's when I'm doing something for my own family, like my kids' graduation quilts or a gift of something. It's always last minute. So then I always end up having to tackle quilting them myself. And there's ways of doing things with a walking foot. If you've never done things before, a walking foot is great because it really keeps your stitch length the same, and you can have kind of more control if you haven't done much free motion. But I actually encourage you to try some free motion, because once you practice, it actually gets easier than sometimes using a walking foot. Now, you can mark your quilts and then kind of have that as a guide. I sometimes just like to use kind of the quilting pattern as my guide. So I wanted just to show you a couple here that I have done, just little small quilts. So let's just go to the overhead. I don't know if you can see this, but I just look at the quilting design and kind of let that tell me what it needs. So for example, these little strips here in the white, I just did wiggly lines in it, and that's really easy to do with a walking foot. And with a free motion foot, actually easier. And it's much easier to do a wiggly line than it is to do a straight line. And so then with the other little leaves here, I like to use parts of the block as my markers. So I use like the seams. I start in the middle one, and I use that top middle seam as my guide, and I just do the loops. And that's kind of my starting and stopping point. Same thing when I did these little arches. So I just went from the intersection to the middle of this strip set and then over and things like that. So I like to do that with most of my little quilts. Just find places in the pattern where I can kind of use as my guide. Now here's an example of a walking foot quilt. I don't know if you can see this. So they're diagonal lines, and you can actually play with this quite a bit. So you can do them diagonal across or any kind of which way, straight or across. But this case, I actually just started kind of off-centered, and it did a diamond, and then I just kept going around, kind of extending that diamond out, and it kind of created a little bit of a different dimension. I know it's hard to see on this. Maybe I can go up. But, I think we have to just refer to our expert quilter and get some more tips and tricks from Debbie. So she actually made 2 Elviras. And so she quilted one with a walking foot and the other one with a free motion foot. So she has actually taped a video class. She's a well-known and experienced teacher in quilting. She teaches both long arm and home domestic machines quilting. And she's been doing it for years, decades probably. I have to ask her that question, how long she's been teaching. And now she's doing a lot of online classes, which is great. So you can purchase a class and then you can go back to it forever and watch it and pause and play and pause and play. And so it's great. And she has a lot of free classes as well. But she taped this little video introducing her Elvira quilting class. So let's check that one out.
Hi, I'm Debbie Brown, and I was super excited to play along with Gudrun's Elvira Quilt Along. It was a wonderful thing to do while self-isolating here in my studio. I had so much fun that I made two. I made one using gorgeous ombre fabrics, and I made another using pastel tonal prints. But a quilt isn't a quilt until it's quilted. So I took these quilts to my home sewing machine, and I started quilting. I quilted the pastel quilt using the walking foot on my home sewing machine. I followed Gudrun's pattern and made some 60-degree diamonds on the quilt. The quilting really enhances the piecing and yet is very simple to achieve. I quilted the ombre quilt with free motion swirls. Since free motions quilting is scary to some people, I will confess to using a stencil to help me place my swirls and determine the size of them. I filmed as I was quilting each of these quilts, and I put it together as an online class for you. You can watch this class as many times as you want. It's yours to own forever. Happy quilting!
Well, Debbie is here with us. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
That was so great. Now, did you see?
Much fun to quilt.
I know, right? Did you see and check on your 12-year-old self's theme song?
I didn't.
You have to Google it. So somebody actually just asked, how do you figure out the top song when you were 12? Well, Google to the rescue. If you got Alexa, just ask her. Or Siri. So it's great. But thank you for being here and taking some questions. I put together this whole slideshow of quilts that are already done, and I know people are just sometimes a little insecure in getting started. So what kind of advice do you have for them to get started? Play with some little pieces first?
Well, the first thing is about your attitude, because whenever someone sees a quilt, the last thing they see when you give them a quilt is quilting. Yeah. The only person who really cares about how it's quilted is the maker. So the purpose of quilting is to simply hold 3 layers together so we can finish it and put it away. Anything else we do above that is a bonus.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we get wrapped up too much in the Pinterest quilts. They're just so perfect and pretty. Not every quilt has to be like that. They can be pretty and simple at the same time.
Yes. And, if a quilt is loved and used, utilitarian quilting is just fine. Just keep those layers together. Something looks good, and it's going to be nice and cuddly.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, how many years have you been quilting?
I've been quilting for...
Teaching quilting.
I've been quilting for 34 years. I've been teaching quilting full-time on the road for 14 years.
14. That's what I kind of was going to guess.
Yeah.
Okay, we have some questions. So first off is, where can we find your class? So the class, I actually added it into the description of the video. So the video, when we're off and stop watching, there's a description and there's a bunch of links in there. So you can just go to that. And we can also repost it if you need. If you need be. Okay, Mary has another question. I have trouble with basting my quilt with spray. Normally, I hang it on a wall at work and do each layer, but I don't have a wall at home. I've tried doing it on a floor, but was a wrinkly mess. Any advice?
Yes. I don't bend, so quilting on the floor is out of the question for me. I bend for my grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And in my house, I have too many windows, so I don't have have a wall that I could put my quilts on. So I based everything on a table or an iron board, and I based it in sections by spray.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. So that's not going to get wrinkled if you just do it in sections.
It doesn't.
And do you do like the back first and then the top?
No.
You do both together.
The biggest free hint I give is to do the batting first. So lay the batting down and spray the batting, then put the fabric on.
Okay.
But
you have a whole basting class ready to roll out.
I do, because that is the most asked question. Outside of quilting, whenever I'm teaching quilting classes, it always goes into, but how do you do the basting?
Yeah.
So
I need to take that class.
And if you take that, you'll recognize these in the class. These were part of the class video.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because I'm on the floor and everywhere, so that's a great.
No, I don't. Mm-mm.
All right, Fred is asking, does Debbie ever use rulers to quilt?
All the time.
Awesome.
All the time. Long arms and home machines. I love it.
That's great. So you have some classes on ruler work too?
I do.
Great.
I've for myself and other platforms, so there's a lot out there, and a lot on YouTube and such as well.
Okay, so Marian is asking, how do you decide what design to use when quilting a geometric block?
Well, it really depends on what I feel like doing, because you can quilt anything. There are no rules. There's no qualities. Last summer, when I was here with you guys for a Tipsy Tuesday, I had my collarbone. So anything I quilted for 8 weeks after that was with a, because I could only quilt with one hand. I was braced up and broken. So it didn't matter what quilt I had. It was going to be done on a walking foot. That's all I could do.
That's awesome. It's, instead of making up excuses for your limitation, just be positive and do what you can. I love that. All right. Somebody asked something about overspray. That's another probably.
Brands overspray more than another.
Yeah. Okay. Different sprays. Okay. What if you don't want to use the spray basting spray? Anything else?
Yes, I use fusible batting. I use fusible powder, or I use pins.
Do you do the safety pins or just regular pins? Safety pins. Okay. All right. What type of machine do you use? Does it have a deeper throat space?
I have quilted when I first started machine quilting, and this was again 30 years ago. I had a 6-inch opening home sewing machine, so a little machine, and I did a 108-inch by 108-inch quilt. That was exactly. And after my husband watched me struggle for this, I bought my first long arm. He said, "Well, it has to be an easier way." What's really funny is I've come full circle now. Now I do all my quilts on a home machine.
Wow.
At this point, I do have a machine with a larger throat. I have an 11-inch throat on the machine I'm currently using.
Okay. And so that to just tell people, there is no limitation. If you can quilt a king size quilt on a 6-inch throat,
I've done it.
Yeah, it's been done. Now, maybe not as pleasant as having a 12-inch, but I get it. All right. Sue asks, do you use polyester thread for quilting?
Yes, or cotton.
Okay.
Or silk.
Okay.
I choose my thread by, oh, look, pretty. That's how I choose my thread.
And so you see no difference in using whatever type thread?
No, there are really great threads on the market right now. I've been quilting for 30-some years, and our threads, this is a good time to be in quilting because the threads have really multiplied and become of great quality in about the last 10, 15 years.
Okay. Very good. Wendy's asking, how about the granular powder shake and then you iron fabric too? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
That you use?
That works.
Okay.
I just use a hot iron and I take my time.
Okay. Another question. What about a basting gun? Have you used that?
I have. And what's funny, whenever I travel and teach basting classes, I have a basting gun um, in a little zip bag with a sign on it in there for the travel security. It's the TSA guys who are inspecting my luggage, and I say
Yeah.
this is a price tag gun for machine quilting, because otherwise they're not going to know it's a
Oh
suitcase.
gosh, I can imagine. I knew this was coming.
It's well labeled.
Right. Do you match the top and bobbin threads regarding weight?
Nope. I usually match them regarding color, but not regarding weight. You
So that
can.
doesn't matter. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
just color. Do you like to have the same color up and on both sides? Yeah, prefer
I
that.
do, just in case there's any if
Pull through.
any pokies, yeah, with the bobbin thread coming up or the top thread going down.
Got it. Okay. How do you deal with a drag when quilting larger quilts on a domestic machine?
Well, until a lovely sewing machine furniture company decides that they want to sponsor me, I have I have a small little cabinet that I have my machine in. It's maybe 15 inches deep, 18 inches deep, about a yard long. And next to that, I have a little TV tray that I bought at the Ames discount store 35 years ago when I got married. And I also have that fold up card table that I spent about $20 on, also, probably from the same vintage. I build my own sewing area.
So that it can lay flat. That
I
makes
do.
a huge
I
difference.
built some extra furniture around me, and then when I'm done with the quilt, I take it down. I've also put my sewing machine on a table in front of my dining table, and that gives me more space around it.
That's a great idea. Okay. Do you use the weightless quilter?
I do not. I have tried it. It works fine. It's just not something that I've needed or that fits the footprint of my room, but it works fine.
Okay, cool. I don't even know what that is. Is that the way you clip them up?
Yep.
Oh, got it. I've seen it. Okay. Any other questions? What weight thread do you use for quilting?
Generally speaking, I use between a 40 and a 50 on the top, and that's your general weight. So something similar to what you would use. And bobbin, I use something thinner because I get more yardage on the bottom now.
Got it. Oh, that bobbin. Yeah.
Because little bobbin.
I know. So I'm not a long armer. So when I heard that the bobbins for the long arm are about the same size as a regular machine, I'm like, what in the?
Not all machines. Some of them have nice big ones.
Okay.
I've actually
I was like,
back the teeny tiny
who
bobbin.
thought of that? Definitely not a quilter.
It's of my bobbin, my home machine. That's it.
Okay. Wow. All right. There was another question I saw. Oh, do you ever use variegated thread when quilting?
Yes, on the walking foot diamonds that I did over my shoulder, that is variegated thread. It is really pastel variegated. So from where you're sitting, or even from where I'm sitting, if I turn around, it doesn't look variegated. But when I get close, it's a nice surprise, like rewarding for looking close. It is, I believe, pink, green, and blue, I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay. How do you feel about monofilament thread in your bobbin?
I don't typically use monofilament thread in my bobbin. I typically use an 80 weight thread in my bobbin because it's thinner. And the other reason that I choose not to, although there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, is it can stretch a little bit. And if you ever wound a bobbin and your tension is too tight on your bobbin, that it scrunches your bobbin onto the little post and then you can't get the bobbin off the post, that's likely to happen with monofilament.
Okay. All right.
It actually squeezes your bobbin together.
Do you use pre-filled bobbins or do you wind your own?
Yes.
Pre-filled, yes?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Yep.
Whatever works.
Whatever
My
works.
machine
I'm a
doesn't
big whatever
have
works.
that option.
Oh.
That's okay. Maybe my next one will. You know, I'm in the market actually shopping. Okay. Did you use Fabulux on that quilt?
I used Fabulux in the walking foot on this quilt. Fabulux is a 40 weight decorative thread. It's a loose twist, so it's really shiny and variegated. And I used a 50 weight cotton on the swirls, a yellow thread on the one over the shoulder.
Okay, cool. That's like, I had never heard of that. Fabulux. I never heard that. What color thread do you use in the bobbin when quilting with variegated thread?
I pick a thread somewhere in the middle. So a lot of the variegateds I do are blue, blue, and blue, or green, green, and green. So I pick one of those shades. But on this quilt, I think I picked a yellow, a golden yellow that kind of hit the middle of what I was working with.
Now, I see a question here do you start from the middle of the quilt? Now, that was old school first when we're learning. And then we saw your little demo video. So Debbie, those of you that are new, Debbie did a video for us quilting actually this runner, the little Diana. And so she did a free motion demo. That video is available on my YouTube. And she just kind of changed my mind on that, not having to begin it in the middle. So just whatever works for whatever you're doing, right? It's different. Right?
It is. If I'm doing a quilt block by block, I'll start with the center block. Yeah. But if I'm doing an all over pattern, I will start in the batting and go to the batting and go straight through the quilt. But in the middle.
Good. Yeah. Right. That's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, Kobe was barking, and then everybody's dog starts barking. Somebody's coming home. Okay. Any other questions? That one we answered. Okay. Oh, do you have a favorite spray?
Do I have a favorite spray? I do. I've tried many of them, and I really do. I do like the D55.
Me too. That's my favorite.
Yeah, it has the least overspray.
And the least sticky stick.
And I can use it indoors.
Yeah, it doesn't fume up your whole house. Do you have a favorite batting?
Do I have batting? My favorite batting is actually...
We have an English accent.
I'm from Pittsburgh originally, so I have a very strong regional accent that I have to overcome, and that's one of the hardest for me. So it's batting.
Okay.
So if I'm doing intricate quilting, like I want to show off a little bit, then I'm going to use wool. Because it is puffy, and when you quilt something puffy, where you quilt goes down and where you don't quilt stays puffed up, and it really shows off your quilting. Whenever I'm teaching quilting, I recommend starting with a flatter batting because it is easier for the beginner to work with. I quilt with absolutely anything, and it's really dependent on what I'm doing. The quilts behind me, each of those are quilted with Quilter's Dream polyester select, the weight polyester.
Good stuff. 505 Sarah was asking what was the favorite spray. Okay.
Yes.
What are some of your go-to quilting designs? Now I know your favorite.
Go for it.
Ribbon candy.
Exactly. It's my absolute favorite machine quilting design. But we're allowed to have favorites of things. And doesn't mean I use it on everything. I didn't use it on either of the quilts behind me for no particular reason except that it didn't need them. But if I were to quilt a third one, it would have had ribbon candy on it.
Yes. I saw there was one little free video that you had on, what was that website? On the Handy Quilter website. That was a
quilt show
variation of the ribbon candy.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute class, all variations.
Oh, that was really cool.
And that's free for everyone.
Yep, that was awesome. Yeah, my ribbon candy is not very uniform.
Neither's mine, but you think it is.
Okay, Marian's asking, what size needles do you use when quilting?
I match my needle to the size of thread. So I used an 80 or a 90. I think I used a 90 with each of these quilts. that's what I recommend beginners to always use one size larger, because it will lessen the chance of your thread breaking. But if I'm using a thin thread, I'll go all the way down to a 70 or a 60, and I'll go all the way up to 100 with a really thick thread.
Got it. That's good to know. Is there a front and a back way to lay it under the top? Do you understand this question?
I do. It's about the batting. Different battings have a top and a bottom to them. And it's talking about the scrim. And some are pimples up, dimples down. My advice on that is to read the manufacturer's instructions, because every brand of bat is made differently. The Quilter's Dream that I used in these does not have an up and down, so I can put it in. But I do know with, I believe it's Hobbs, that take it off a roll. When you unfold it off the roll, what the inside is goes down.
Got it.
So I learned them on a case by case basis.
Yeah, polyester doesn't have a two sides.
Not most.
No, yeah, that's what I've been using. Okay, do you use a stitch regulator?
I have no problems using a stitch regulator. The machine I currently quilt on doesn't have one, but I believe in using whatever tool it takes to get the job done.
Right.
On some machines with the stitch regulator is the only way that you can quilt without using the foot pedal. And there are times that I've had a machine that had one, and I wasn't able to use my foot due to a medical issue. So I for like 2 years. So I used a stitch regulator for everything for like years because I couldn't press a foot down. So
I love
whatever
this.
works for you.
You just figure it out. I'm not going to stop working or stop quilting.
No.
Just figure it out.
That's I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So, another one asked, do you ever use stencils?
All the time.
Oh.
I would,
That's
yes.
cool.
And not one person has ever looked into a quilt and went, oh, you marked that? Oh, I don't want it now.
Right.
I'd rather have one mark too many on my quilt than one mark too few.
Right.
Having said that, I mark where I'm going to quilt, but I don't mark what I'm going to quilt for the most part. It just gives me guidelines.
Gotcha. That's my laziness when I try and find spots in the piecing where that's going to be my marking. So I don't have to mark.
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing with Strip to Shore.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Debbie's doing Strip to Shore with us. And of course, speed demon that she is, she's already finished one. Yeah. Love. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we have any more questions. Oh, what do you use when you mark your quilt?
Most of the time, I use a pounce powder. So it's a light pounce powder because I know that it's off the quilt. I'm kind of risk averse when it comes to marking. I put 2 kids through university by quilting for other people. I was really hesitant to mark on other people's quilts.
Right.
On quilt, draw on them because I know I'll wash them. I learned how to quilt without too many heavy markings. If I do, though, I will use the blue quilter's marker for the most part.
Okay, very good. Okay, scrim side up. Is that what you said?
Yeah, every brand has their own rules.
It's different every
scrim.
brand. Okay.
Yeah, dimples and scrim, and then.
Yeah, I think we just answered it. Do you use Freedon to mark your quilt?
The friction markers.
Oh, friction.
I don't put those on the surface of my quilt top. I will use those if I'm making half triangles or if I'm sewing my clothing and need darts. But I don't put those on the surface of the fabric.
Yeah, I've heard that they come back. So
I've seen what it can do to fabric personally. So.
Okay. What is your favorite pastime other than quilting? That's a good one.
Am I supposed to have another? Well, actually, for the last 4 weeks, I've been getting a lot of exercise. Walk back and forth to this closet. If anyone else have a little hibernation munchy thing going on now, but otherwise, I do like to cook, and I'm a reader.
I know you like to cook, and you're a good cook. That's actually my hobby too. That and making cocktails. Now, I can't make them for you. I'll make some virgin ones for you.
Yeah, I need virgin ones or my cup of tea.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any tips on squaring up the quilt after you've quilted?
square it up as I go along. As a machine quilted for customers, I've quilted over 5,000 quilts for customers. And
Wow.
like a hairdresser who never will tell your true hair color, I don't tell tales about my customers. But generally speaking, I can tell you when a block is quilt more in the middle. It's a big clumpy block in there, or it has really wavy borders. Those are kind of hard to deal with. And once you've done it on your own quilt, as you're saying, oh, I won't bother squaring up this block before I sew it together. Once you've quilted a block that hasn't been squared up, you'll square the block up.
Yeah.
So
I think she's more thinking
correct
about,
as you go.
Yeah.
Oh, the edge.
That's me too. You know, me and my square up rulers. It's a game changer. And everything goes together so much better.
Oh, as far as squaring the edges, though.
Yeah. Cutting.
A laser marker.
Oh, a laser marker.
You know, like in the hardware, I have my dad's. Yeah, those lasers that do right angle can help you trim your quilt.
That's cool. Wow. Do you use starch? And if so, what's your favorite?
I use Best Press. In a fine bottle. Yes.
Okay. Very good. What words of wisdom do you have for novice long armers to improve their long arm quilting?
Start with what you know. And most people have something they feel comfortable with. And once you have recovered from the fear of can't press the buttons, if you are comfortable with a loop or a wiggly line, start with that and add one thing to it. So start with a loop and then maybe put a second loop inside of it, or do a squiggly line and add something to it. Instead of trying to learn 6 totally different things, start with what you have and do some variations of it, and you'll get a little more comfortable as you go.
That's a great idea. Okay, so I saw something. After you quilted the top, how far do you trim from the edge of the design for the binding? Do you trim all the way up, or do you leave a 1/4 inch?
It depends on what size my binding is going to be. I typically bind at a 1/2 inch, so I do trim a 1/2 inch of batting backing beyond my quilt top. But if I'm only going to have a 1/4 inch binding, I do trim it flush.
Yeah. I trim it flush unless I'm doing a thick binding or if I'm working with flannel or anything like that. Okay. Let's see. Everybody's loving the laser marker tip. Ooh, they're going to be sold out.
Oh, their husbands are going to go, where?
Why do you need this?
Where is it gone?
I know. That's awesome. Okay, so everybody, if you missed it in the beginning, Debbie has a bunch of classes. You even have a binding class as well.
Yep. I've been home for a few weeks, like that. So all the classes I was supposed to teach in person, I've been putting online. So I have a binding class, a basic class, and the class on how to quilt Elvira, the 2 ways that are behind me.
Yes. And keep them coming. We love that. So if I have a sew along, we can have a class working together. I love it. Yeah. Strip to shore. We'll have a class. I love that. Okay, so the links to her classes are in the description of the video again. So make sure you check that out. Let's see if we have one last question that we haven't pulled up. Maybe we went through them all. That would be awesome. Oh, where do you use the laser when on the long arm? Oh, she's just talking about trimming the quilt up, so making sure it's square. Oh, what is Debbie's last name? It's Brown. Debbie Brown.
Try to keep it easy for you.
So if you're new to quilting, that's a great question. If you're new to quilting, do you recommend doing a walking foot first or free motion?
Whatever the most interesting to you, or whatever project is the shiniest at the time. Does that make sense? So if I say, oh, I really want to do this thing with loops in it, then I will use my motion foot. Generally speaking, the walking foot is going to give you a little bit more confidence sooner.
Yes, I agree with that. But I also think that free motion is a talent that some people just have and really do that easily. Really?
It's a skill that can be learned like anything else.
Oh, I know that. I just think some people get to it much easier
Faster.
than others. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't one of those, but I am now. All these years later.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think, though, when I did a lot of it, I was getting really confident and just went with it. But you have to kind of, well, like anything, you need to work on it to
Right.
stay. It's like that dang fitness. You got to keep it up.
Crazy. I keep up the exercise videos. They just don't work.
Hey, yeah, I know.
I watch them and I watch them and I watch them.
It's hard to work out at home too, because there's so many other things to do that need to get done, both household stuff, and then our houses are also our workplace, so there's thousands of things to do. So I'm always like halfway into my workout that I planned on doing, and then I find an excuse to cut it short. It's like, oh, but I have to do that, so sorry, I'm done, but I did something. So
right.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you. If
been
you
fun
have more
seeing you.
questions, everybody, just keep posting them. I know I will read through them, and Debbie will maybe read through them. And check out her class. It's fabulous, and she's such a good teacher. Gets you through it step by step, and so easy. So thanks for being with us, Debbie.
Thanks so much for having me.
Bye. I'll see you later. Well, that was great. Thank you for all your fabulous questions. I think they're really great ones that I couldn't even have thought of asking her. So if you have any other questions on, anything else, throw them out there. So there's a lot of beginners that I know want to try some quilting, but we will get to all your questions later. But before we end today, of course, we want to announce our live winner. So we pick one of the comments, just random generated, and so our live winner today is, no, that was for our question. I think, oh, there she is, Beverly. I didn't see it. Beverly Hickey is our live winner. Beverly Hickey, congratulations. We will reach out to you, and you will get a $25 gift card to the GE Design store. And of course, speaking of the store, we have some new fun things to show you. There's fabric coming in all the time. We have a big one coming tomorrow, but we got some fun ones, and we got 4 new bundles that I wanted to show you. Some new 1-yards as well. But those bundles that everybody loves, I have one that I put together. Now, if you remember, I put together a sheep bundle a while ago, and it was really popular. We sold out twice out of that one. So I always kind of scour and find interesting, cute, fun fabrics, and I found these really cute chicken fabrics, so I had to do a chicken bundle. So this is what I started with. I found this really fun chicken print in this fun blue color, and then of course chicken wire to match. And so it also came in this color with gray chickens, and of course chicken wire to match that. And then I found these roosters, and this print was really fun, kind of brought everything together. And this one reminded me of the footprints of the chickens. And we have some eggs, of course, some more chicken wire in the black and with some gold tones in it. And then, of course, to bring in the gold, I saw this print. So I had to include all the chickens and finish it off with a little bit of red for all the beaks. And so this is our brand new chicken bundle. Any chicken lovers out there? I know a lot of people have chickens in their backyards, so I thought that was just really cute and something unique. And then the other new one is really, really beautiful. This one is called Watercolor Sketchbook, and it's just gorgeous. It's by Grace Pop. So I chose some of the prints out of the line and then added a couple. So beautiful birds. I just love this watercolor artwork. Really pretty florals, but more than anything, I love the colorway. So just these grays and neutrals with just this pop of gold in it. And so it has some really fun geometrics that kind of make it more modern. I love these swirls. And then we bring in a little more pop of the yellow, and then a stripe that I think is really fun. More geometric with the black, pulling in with some gold. Another one of those. And then this one has the gold and the gray in it. And then we have 2 golds to kind of tie it all together. So how fun would this be? So you could either use the golds to be an accent piece or anything else. So this is watercolor sketchbook. Really love this. And so that's brand new. Our third one is not a real stash builder bundle. So we have stash builder bundles are always 12 different half yard cuts. But this one is actually, it's called Coffee Time. And it's actually a panel. So I'm going to show you the panel first. So I decided just to group them together, the panel with 6 different half yards. So the panels are, there's 4 different, they're kind of made to you can make placemats out of them. So you can just cut them out and make placemats. You can border them with some of the fabrics or use the fabrics for backing and binding. And then, but you could also, of course, cut it up. It can make really cute pillows. I thought like pillows for an accent bench in a kitchen, or if somebody is really a coffee lover, could be on a bag or anything like that. I just thought these were super cute. So they are 4 panels, and then the 6 patterns. We have the coffee cups, some print with coffee on it. Of course, the coffee beans, some light print, another coffee cup, and then this really cute polka dot red. So this is together in a bundle. So not really a kit, but you can kind of do whatever with it. And then we also have the panel individually. So you can purchase just the panel, or if you wanted to get an extra panel to use up your fabrics, you could do that. And then the fourth thing is, so this one I have to kind of explain, because we have, sometimes when we're cutting our bundles, we have leftover half yards. So we have added now a mystery bundle to our website. So we are using some of the half yards, but they're a mixture from multiple different bundles that we've had in the past. But I, of course, try and kind of coordinate them. So they're coordinated in color. And, but these are really great price. So they're $55 for 6 yards of fabric, so that's $9 a yard, and you get kind of a mystery, whatever you get, but really great, good quality fabrics. So we put some of those mystery bundles up online if you're up for some fun mysterious things to come in your mailbox. But I thought it was a great way to kind of utilize what we have. Since I'm not traveling and we're not doing any classes, usually I take some fabrics with me if I'm traveling to areas close by, and that's not happening for a while, for me at least. But we have more fabric on the way. We have a huge shipment from Andover coming in tomorrow, and I'm excited to get all that. So I have some other questions. Okay, love the coffee bundle. What size would you be able to make with one bundle? So one bundle is 6 yards of fabric. So for example, the Elvira quilt, the lap size, which was a large lap size, you would need 5 yards. So that will be plenty to do Elvira, for example. And a lot of, so 6 half yard or 12 half yards amounts to 24 fat quarters. And then I always put on my bundles, if you want to cut the half yards into 10-inch squares and 2.5-inch strips and 1.5-inch strips, I put on there how many you can get. So you could get 48 10-inch squares, 24 2.5-inch strips, and then 24 1.5-inch strips out of a bundle, which is a lot. What is the cocktail fabric? The cocktail fabric in there. So this is, we've had few different cocktail bundles, and so we had some leftovers, so we couldn't do a full one, but so we've kind of mixed it in, so we had some fabrics extra. All right, so do you ever see any tea fabric or panel? I haven't seen any, but I always look out for something unique. I like to stock stuff that is not everywhere, so unique kind of fabrics and things. So I will keep an eye out for a tea one. All right, never enough chickens or flamingos. Flamingos would be a good one. That would be a fun bundle. I'll have to look out for that. All right, so any other questions? Hope everyone is keeping safe. Everybody's safe. So if you didn't know, my store is out of my house, so the only people working is us that have been staying here at home for the most part. So it's me and Mr. Honey Producer, of course, and then my 2 kids. So we are the only ones working. I'm keeping those kids busy, which is a good thing. But we're going to finish off with, of course, our question and giveaway question. So you can answer this question in the comments and you're automatically entered to win a $25 gift card to the store. So this is my question. What are you doing more of while in quarantine? So of course, I hope you are doing more sewing and quilting than on a normal day. But what else are you doing more of? I know for me, I'm doing more cooking. I love that. And for example, I'm doing all kinds of things like making sourdough. So I started my sourdough starter last week and I'm excited. I think I can make bread tomorrow if my bubbles are working right. So hoping that will turn out well. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm making kombucha as well and all kinds of things. So cooking is probably one thing I'm doing a lot more of. I wish I was doing more exercise, but not really. But I'm walking the dog more than normal, so that's good. Anyways, just answer this question and you will automatically be entered in the giveaway. Now, we will be live here with another Tipsy Tuesday episode in a week from today on April 14th at 7 p.m. Central, always on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central. And then, of course, this coming Friday, I will be live in Gudrun's Quilt Crew on Facebook. And that is at 3 p.m. for Facebook Friday. And that will also be the second part of our quilt along, where I'll be demonstrating how to cut out your sashing pieces and setting for the quilts for strip to shore. So you don't want to miss that. And I hope I will see you there. But that is it for us tonight. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.